I am your co-host, Ryan Smith, alongside former NFL tight end Benjamin Troupe, former University of Florida tight end as well, played in the NFL for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Oakland Raiders at the time, and most notably the Tennessee Titans. Well, Ben, we are just a week away from the Super Bowl 50, number 9 in the NOLA, New Orleans, where the Philadelphia Eagles will take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's just get right into it, Ben. So this is our Super Bowl preview for Super Bowl 59. Just some things that were kind of, big picture themes, and we'll kind of get down into the nitty gritty, kind of where you want to go with this as well. But just big picture, first off, what are some things you're looking for from this game between the Chiefs and Eagles? Just kind of big picture.
The big one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to these games is these matchups, right? Like when you think about, both of these teams are built. When you talk about this, McDuffie, cornerback for, the Kansas City Chiefs. Is he gonna mirror AJ Brown? When you start talking about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson versus Travis Kelce, who's gonna block, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith? He's been wrecking offenses, coming in from the outside linebacker position. But really, Coach Spagnuolo, I mean, no one talks about how great his game plans are when it comes to these big games. Like, I get it. He'll take Josh Allen and give him some moments, but not make him look super. He'll take a Lamar Jackson or, all these big name quarterbacks. So what is going to be his plan for Saquon and Jalen Hurts? The reason why I say is you're going to have to pick which one. I think they're going to focus more on Saquon, and they're going to try to make him one-dimensional, because here's the thing about Saquon. A lot of these big runs, he's not being touched coming through the line. Now, if you kind of stop his feet, he doesn't get those big runs. But, him coming through the line, 4 or 5 yards with a cloud of dust behind him, that's going to be – so I'm looking forward to Coach Spagnuolo. What kind of game plan is he going to have for Saquon Barkley? Make Jalen Hurts beat you through the air, which, he's proven to have been real good, but really been doing it with his legs and, handing the ball off to Saquon. And, man, what type of plan is Coach Andy Reid going to have for this Eagles defense? Because the thing about these guys, they've been doing it as a unit. It's been looking really, 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 really impressive. But Coach Spags, man, I'm looking forward to see. It's too many storylines to name. Coach Sirianni, looking over again. Looking over again at Andy Reid. Andy Reid, the all-time winningest coach in both Kansas City and Eagles history. And really, the biggest one, Smitty, is can this Philadelphia Eagles team kill the juggernaut? Can they shut down the three-peat? Can they kill this dynasty? Because the thing about dynasties is, until somebody dethrones them, right, people are not going to think it can be done. Michael Jordan did it twice.
Yeah.
Right, with the Bulls. You talk about what the Lakers was able to do with Kobe and Shaq. You talk about, three-peats are very, 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 very rare, and which makes them more impressive. But, yeah, Coach Spags, Coach Andy Reid, these matchups, and can the Eagles do the unthinkable and can Jalen Hurts establish himself in this game like I think he did? Because the last time they played in the Super Bowl, Smitty, if you remember, Jalen Hurts was out playing Pat Mahomes. Now, if they win the Super Bowl, I think he's the MVP. Can he have a repeat performance? And Kansas City keeps it honest. Kansas City gave San Francisco 2 opportunities, right? Different quarterbacks, right? Different quarterbacks. Same head coach, same GM, same cast of characters. And I remember George Kittle, when they lost their first Super Bowl against Kansas City, he said, we'll be back. Well, they were back. Problem was Kansas City had gotten better. You had changed quarterbacks. And Jalen Hurts still that juggernaut called, Kansas City in the face. And I know Jalen Carter is the first-team All-Pro, but I think still the premier defensive tackle, defensive lineman is Chris Jones. But other than that, man, I'm just looking forward to a good game because Smitty, you know how it is. If the Eagles won the Super Bowl, but it wasn't against Kansas City, I say, oh, it's because it wasn't, Pat Mahomes' company. And I'm gonna keep saying this.
Yeah,
and people can get. I've been saying this on a lot of other shows. I mean, trying to make my rounds with this media stuff I do. If Pat Mahomes win this, they're gonna put him in the GOAT conversation, as they should. I believe Travis Kelce is the GOAT tight end right now, and that's nothing against Gronk. That's nothing against Shannon Sharp, my favorite tight end. That's nothing against guys like Tony Gonzalez and Jason Witten and Antonio Gates. But here's the thought, right? If Patrick Mahomes is going to be in the GOAT conversation, Travis Kelce, I believe, is the GOAT tight end with everything he's done. Why isn't Andy Reid being talked about being the GOAT? I'm just saying, because no one wants to talk about that because of what Bill Belichick did, and I get it. But
I think they'll start. I'm
of this thing. Yes, I know. Just because I got more championships doesn't mean I'm better.
Correct. So let me throw this out at you. First, let me answer my own question. So, yes, big picture, like you said, I like the matchups are what I'm looking forward to as well. We haven't seen a Super Bowl in New Orleans since, if you remember, the Harbaugh Bowl back in 2012. Harbaugh
Beyonce shut it down and all the lights went out.
The lights shutting down, correct, at halftime. That was San Francisco and Baltimore. The matchups, though, I really like the matchup, and we'll get into this a little bit more. But I really like the matchup of Devonta Smith for the Eagles against one of the weaker corners for Kansas City because A.J. Brown and Trent McDuffie, that's popcorn television. Saquon Barkley forcing Chris Jones to beat him on the outside, which we all know is not happening. And then on the flip side with Patrick Mahomes versus this Philadelphia defense, you got Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, and company there on the D-line. And then Mahomes, can they keep him in the pocket? Because when he had no tackles, Super Bowl 2020, otherwise known as the COVID Super Bowl, the Bucs just shut them down. That was the only time Mahomes ever got crushed in the Super Bowl. Period.
They were coming at him. He
had no tackles. And so can the Eagles D-line get home? Can they force him to stay in the pocket? But going a little deeper, what I like Devonta Smith is one of my matchups that I like versus the Chiefs secondary. That will be a key matchup to watch. Versus, so that's with the Eagles have the ball. When the Chiefs have the ball, I like down the Travis Kelce. We all talk about him, but I like someone like an Xavier Worthy, someone like a Justin Watson, who is a name not talked about very much.
DeAndre Hopkins make an appearance this game.
And DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, they've got a lot of weapons besides Travis Kelce that they can beat you. But the key on that side of the ball for can Philadelphia's pass rushers get home? And if they cannot, Mahomes will make them pay in the pocket by scrambling, getting out of there. Pacheco with those tough yards, though I think Pacheco's not going to have a very good game against that Eagles front. Maybe Kareem Hunt. I personally don't think the run game is going to be that good. I think Mahomes is going to have to throw the ball through the air and make them beat them that way. Just my thought there. And then when Philadelphia has the ball, I mentioned Devonta Smith. But for the Chiefs defense, Leo Chanel, remember that name. That is a guy who I believe Spagnuolo can use not only as a defensive end who's athletic enough to get after Saquon Barkley, but also someone who can deploy kind of as a spy, if you will, in the passing game and see where Saquon Barkley is. So Leo Chanel is someone I'm watching for on that defense for Kansas City when Saquon Barkley and company have the football. But it's really easy to game plan for Philadelphia on offense. Establish the run. Don't get into second and long, because if you do, that's when Chris Jones can pin his ear back and pass. But if they do get into third and short, then that's where the Chiefs are going to be in trouble because Jalen Hurts can still use his legs. And even if he doesn't have to use his legs, the Chiefs' game plan is to get Jalen Hurts to throw the ball down the field and force them to beat you through the air. Because if you stop Saquon Barkley, you have to force Jalen Hurts to beat you through the air. Now, having said all that, going back to what you said about your Mahomes for a second, I want to say it was Nick Wright at Fox who has a couple shows, and I think he has a podcast. But Nick Wright, I think if I'm not wrong, he's from Kansas City, and I think he's a pretty big Chiefs fan. Grew up in Kansas City, so a guy who's known the Chiefs for his whole life. I think he was on maybe Colin Cowherd's show. I mean, I don't remember, but I heard this somewhere. Somebody asked him. He said, and this is his opinion. I just want to get your opinion on this. He said, if Mahomes gets this Super Bowl on Sunday and he gets his fourth victory, he doesn't think that he doesn't even have to get to 7 like Tom. Heck, he can even get to, he doesn't even really have to get to 6. To your point, if Mahomes win this one on Sunday, people will start talking about him in the GOAT conversation. And how he said it was, he still thinks Tom Brady is the most winning quarterback of all time, but Mahomes is a more gifted quarterback, if that makes sense. Do you drive with that kind of thing?
I do, because I think the thing about it, what Nick Wright is trying to get us to see is, we were so enamored by a guy like Tom Brady because, I mean, what? You won 7, you went to 10. Good Lord, I mean, you went to 10. And you won 6 in New England, but you went to 9, right? And you won 1, obviously, your first year in Tampa Bay, which made 7. That's still 9 AFC championship rings, 1 NFC championship ring, with 7 Super Bowl rings. That's crazy. But this is why everybody's saying what they're saying, right? It's okay when we say we've never seen something before. Do I think anybody's going to break Tom Brady's passing yards? No. For this reason, you got to stay healthy that long. You got to stay consistent that long. You got to stay a starter that long. You got to stay productive that long. But Patrick Mahomes, right? Since he became a starter, Smitty, what's the first thing he did when he became a starter was win league MVP. Check. First year starting, check MVP. Put himself out there and say, hey, man, I'm coming. Then he started going to AFC championship games, and he hasn't stopped. The thing about the Super Bowl for a quarterback is when we saying what is the great validation of a quarterback? Did he win a Super Duper, right? And let me tell you what Patrick Mahomes is also doing. Outside of, is he the most gifted? I would say yes. Is he in the GOAT category? I would say yes. And here's the thing about the GOAT category. I don't think they could ever be the greatest of all time. I just think you can say, look, man, were you one of the greats? Patrick Mahomes right now, first ballot Hall of Famer, right? First ballot. Already won 3. Getting the chance to win 4. With the 3-peat. Only lost to the GOAT. And I think the thing about Patrick Mahomes is it's his style of doing it. Like, I think Patrick Mahomes has gotten very, very bored with the regular season. Now, I'm still going to go out there and play well, but I don't think he cares about – he's realized, look, man, do I really need to lead the league in passing yards? No. Could I? Yes, because I've done it. Do I really need to lead the league in touchdown passes? No. Have I done it? Yes. Do I want to get to the Super Bowl? Yes. Do I want to beat everybody? Yes. Because I think underneath it all, listen. Underneath it all, when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, it's like this. When Michael Jordan played, he said, look, you can beat me in the regular season. You can beat me in the playoffs. You will not beat me in the finals. Like, you will not. Because, and I think that's Patrick Mahomes at this point. Like, yes, Tom Brady got some blemishes on his record, but he still went to 10. I think for Patrick Mahomes, he's saying, look, Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, all of y'all are incredible football players. Some of y'all are, MVP type. Some of y'all are on a Hall of Fame trajectory just like me. You ain't beating me. You ain't beating me in the AFC Championship game. And I think that's the reason why Tom Brady is who he is. Look what he did to Peyton. Look how long it took for Peyton to finally beat him to even call the Patriots and the Colts a rivalry. Right now, there are no rivalries for real when it comes to Patrick Mahomes because we only talking about the regular season, right? What you can get beat. So yes, Nick Wright. Now, is Nick Wright very biased when it comes to Patrick Mahomes? Yeah, but he has a reason to be, right?
But he has a reason
to be. But yeah, man, he's definitely in that GOAT conversation. Because here's the thing, Smitty. We only like dynasties when it's our team. We don't like it when it's other teams. If this was the Carolina Panthers, come on, Cam. Because here's the thing: if Cam and company win in 2015, who knows what it could have spun?
Yeah, well, we'll get to Cam in a little bit when he had a little something to say earlier this week. We'll get to that. And just a little tidbit from my notes here. In 14 years with the Philadelphia Eagles, Andy Reid won 140 games, making the playoffs 9 times. He even led Philadelphia to the Super Bowl, which obviously they lost to one of those Tom Brady 6 Super Bowls. Those Eagles finished with a 10-9 mark in the postseason. Many franchises would be elated with those numbers.
Yes.
But Kansas City, 12 years there almost, Reid has won more games, 143, and has a 16-6 record in the postseason. And he has won the game he supposedly could never win in Philadelphia, which was the Super Bowl, 3 times, with an opportunity to make it 4 on Sunday. And let's be honest, what is the difference? There's really not much difference. Andy Reid's a little older, got a little gray on that beard or mustache a little bit. Depending on the game that they play in, you see some icicles on his beard that one cold game. But not much difference. Andy Reid is still doing his thing. He's a little older, but the guy knows ball. And Patrick Mahomes is kind of the quarterback he's been waiting for his whole career. I mean, he can make quarterbacks look really good. And not to say these other guys he had were bad, but they're not Patrick Mahomes. He had Alex Smith in Kansas City. He had Kevin Cobb in Philadelphia. He had the second reincarnated Michael Vick.
When Michael Vick got out of jail, who came ring? That I remember when Michael Vick. Breaking news: Michael Vick is now a Philadelphia Eagle, and
like you said.
Well, yeah, but however, I think you just made a great point. You said he was a quarterback that he was waiting for. That is to me, that is an incredible point, because when you think about football, people go, why do quarterbacks get paid what they get paid? Why are they? Because they are the one that brings it all together. You can have everything else, coaches, specialty players, kicker, punter, culture, atmosphere, winning coach. What a quarterback. And the reason why I say it is this. Tom Brady, for people say, who was it? Was it Belichick or Tom Brady? I say it was Tom Brady. Here's why. Because when he left, you see what happened. You see what's still going on with the Patriots, right? Andy Reid, as much as I love Patrick Mahomes, right? Patrick Mahomes for Andy Reid was the guy that he get to say, look, man, I finally got a guy that can do any and everything in my playbook. Anything. And I heard that his playbook looked like a freaking, I've heard it looked like a freaking Yellow Pages. You got to go back to the real big thing back when he had the phone book. But however, this is what Andy Reid really did. Andy Reid set the vision. Patrick Mahomes helped build a culture. And the reason why I think the vision had to be first was the vision started with Alex Smith. That's where it started, because you kind of saw it going a little bit, Smitty, like, dang, and Alex Smith, you're like, okay, it's there, but, you know what I'm saying? Like, Alex Smith started his culture building in San Francisco. Then he comes over to Kansas City. He goes, okay, and why is that significant? There was another, and I'm not comparing them. There was an incredibly great quarterback, one of the greatest. Some people call him the greatest at San Francisco, by the name of Joe Montana. Where did he end up? Kansas City. Sometimes, right? That's why football just keeps coming back around. Joe Montana didn't have the career in Kansas City he had in San Francisco. So now Alex Smith did something that a lot of veterans don't want to do. They don't want to, listen, man, I don't want to be the mentor to the next guy. But this is what it was. When he saw this Patrick Mahomes kid, he's like, good Lord. So now, Smitty, I'm just saying, if it's not how many number of championships you got, if that's the case, Bill Russell is the greatest NBA player of all time because he got 10. Oh, no, it can't be that. Oh, okay. It's like this. This is what makes Patrick Mahomes him. It is something, which I know we're going to get to Cam Newton. Cam Newton said something which I know we'll get to. Impact and influence. It is hard to say that anybody has had more impact and influence on football and influence on the game of football at the quarterback position than Pat Mahomes, because he ain't been there for 15 years. He ain't even 30 years old. So that's why I think, with all these, and like I said, we are blessed and privileged to be in one of the golden ages of quarterbacking.
You're not, yeah.
So, but here's the thing, right? In the golden age, right? No, I'm gonna use basketball. Karl Malone won an MVP. Charles Barkley won the MVP. Michael Jordan said, "You think they're better than me?" And when he said, obviously when he said, "I took that personal," and I think Patrick Mahomes takes it personal. But what are we saying about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid, and Coach Spagnuolo, and that defense, and that offense, and that team? Could a guy by the name of, because you talk about legacy, Randall Cunningham, Ron Jaworski, Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick. Right now, the guy who has the statue outside the stadium is Nick Foles, but Nick Foles did it in a Robin type a role because he didn't have to play the whole season, right? That was Carson Wentz, and that's another thing. Smitty, I'm gonna ask you this: we were going on. Who would you trust if the backups got to come in? Kenny Pickett or Carson Wentz to win the game?
I can't believe I'm going to say this. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Kenny Pickett showed well.
I couldn't agree with you more for this reason. Kenny Pickett has had to play meaningful football. He had to keep that run going when Jalen Hurts was dealing with the concussion stuff. So I would go with Kenny Pickett. Wouldn't it be crazy if it all came down to Kenny Pickett? Once again, Kenny Pickett versus, the former Steeler, versus a former Eagle.
And Carson Wentz. That would be interesting. Let's go ahead and make our predictions for Super Bowl 59 here in New Orleans. I'll go first. Ben, I think this is going to be a classic game. I don't think this is going to be the typical Kansas City wins by 7.5, 8.5. I think it's going to be just like Super Bowl 57. Not that it's going to end on a penalty. Not going to say that. But I think it's going to be a last-second drive, except I think Saquon Barkley is going to get it done for the Eagles. He is going to he's going to knock the Chiefs down on a last-second touchdown run where he's just going to break through and he's just going to be off to the races. Sayonara. I don't want to call it walk-off. There could be some little time left, but we'll say, very little time remaining as Saquon Barkley will get a game-winning touchdown for the Eagles and give me a final score. Let's say Eagles 27, Chiefs 24. And yes, I realize I'm betting against Patrick Mahomes and I'm betting against a three-peat.
Okay. I mean, I like that 27-24.
Of the season that Saquon Barkley had. Here's the difference. Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts and company were denied last time on a James Bradbury holding call, which that's 2 years ago. Saquon Barkley did not play in this game. So Saquon Barkley is going to be the difference in this game, and he is going to be the eraser of Patrick Mahomes in this game. He is going to give Jalen Hurts and company their revenge from 2 years ago and give the Eagles their Super Bowl trophy, their first one since 2017.
Okay. The reason why we love football, Smitty, is because of these storybook endings, right? The Kansas City Chiefs has been playing with fire all season. They end up having the best record in the AFC, but they had a lot of things that went their way, blocked field goals, different things that just went their way throughout the course of the year.
Yep.
Fate will not be on their side this time. But this, and listen, and as much as I love Saquon, as much as it's been all about this banner year for Saquon and Jalen Carter emerging, as the best interior D lineman in the NFL, and how C.J. Gardner-Johnson is back, and Darius Slay probably playing in his last game in the National Football League, and Nick Sirianni. No. Jalen Carter wasn't on the team last time they was in the Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley wasn't on the team. This is about Jalen Hurts. Let me tell you something. The reason why we like villains for real in movies is because we be forgetting, are they bad guys for real? I mean, what makes them a bad guy? Because they doing things that go against what we deem to be as good stuff? Well, here's the thing about Jalen Hurts. Who's had to go through or grow through more scrutiny than him? When he got drafted, the Eagles fans didn't want him. They learned to accept him. He grew on them because he went to Super Bowls. 2 years ago, they had the best record in football, fell off a cliff at the end of the season. So this is what I think it's going to be. It's going to be a back and forth. Both teams exchange touchdowns. Everybody going to be looking good. But this time, Patrick Mahomes scores. Time still left on the clock for Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts, I think he said it one time at the post-game press conference. He said, I had a purpose way before y'all had an opinion. Well, this is when he silenced all the opinions, all the doubters. It is going to be a drive. They're going to have to make some key third downs. They're probably going to even have to go for it on fourth down. But it's going to be about, I say, give enough time. Give about 6 seconds left. They're on the 1 yard line. They're not going to give it to Saquon. No. This will be the tush push heard around and seen around the world. And here's the thing about football that you love. When everybody knows what's happening, they got everybody in tight. And they saying, fellas, let's do it. Right? Because here, these will be the two plays that would always stand out. The last time the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl and they won, they called Philly. Trey Burton throws a touchdown pass to Nick Foles that will go down in history. Sorry, Tom Brady, but you're not that athletic to catch the ball. We understand you don't like that about Nick Foles. Listen, you're gonna see Nick Sirianni or Kellen Moore saying this will be Kellen Moore's last game coaching for Philadelphia. I think he's gonna be the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints. But you're gonna see tush push. You're gonna hear the Philly fans yelling tush push. Listen, there is a song that goes around in Philly and they sing, they hate us, we don't care. They hate us. They talking about the rest of the league. The other 31 teams hate the Philadelphia Eagles team and fans. And I think Jalen Hurts is built to be a fit. So for me, Smitty, I like your narrative. But here's the thing. I think they're going to call to give it to Saquon. Saquon goes, tush push. And I'm a block for Jalen. Why? Because if Nick Sirianni is not going to let Saquon Barkley break the rushing record, they better win the Super Bowl. And I think they will. And it's going to be in dramatic fashion. It's going to be some questionable calls. It's going to be some plays that didn't go each team's way. And listen, and with all the talk about all these stars, Kelsey, you talk about Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It's going to come down to Jalen Hurts. Super Bowl MVP, Jalen Hurts. And here's the thing. You know who got the best winning percentage since they came in the NFL? That would be Patrick Mahomes. You know who number 2? That's Jalen Hurts. He got the second best winning percentage. So number 1 versus number 2, and we're going to have to start asking ourselves, what is a franchise quarterback? Is it a guy that wins first team All Pros, second team All Pros, MVPs, or is it guys that win the Super Duper Bowl? So I do like your narrative, but I think it's going to be Jalen Hurts, and I guarantee you they already, just like when LeBron won his first chip with Miami, they already had the commercial ready. There's a Jalen Hurts commercial ready to be aired, but he got to win the Super Bowl to do it, and I'm looking. Give me Jalen Hurts and the Eagles doing the tush push heard around the world, and you just seeing people like Mike Trout. And what's old boy name? What's old boy name to play the Hangover? He's the main character. The one.
Bradley Cooper.
You're gonna see Bradley Cooper. You're gonna see Kevin Hart if they allow Will Smith.
What's your score?
My score will be 31-28. Philadelphia. Go ahead, touchdown, tush push. And the game.
And I got Barkley as my MVP. I don't think that was clear. Okay. Perfect. Well, we agree. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. We'll see come Sunday, and we'll talk how both wrong we were next Monday if the Chiefs end up pulling it out. Let's get going to some other headlines and news. There are a lot of things to really get to for the rest of the show. I mean, actually, let's really quick head on something you just mentioned, and then we'll get into some of the headlines later on. Not official yet, but it does look like Kellen Moore is going to be going to the New Orleans Saints after the Super Bowl. May not even fly back to Philly. Might stay there for a while before.
I'm about to say, he's definitely looking at different real estate right now in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Good, Kellen.
So, just real quick, obviously, it's looking like that's going to happen. What is your thoughts as a NFC South Falcons fan? I'm a Panthers fan, obviously, as they all know. Everyone knows. What is your preliminary thought on that marriage if that does indeed happen?
I think it's a great marriage for a lot of reasons. One is I think Kellen Moore is young enough to understand he has to be able to resonate with today's football players, and I'm talking about the ones that are 20 something coming into the league, and the ones he's going to be retaining that's on rookie deals. Number two, when you talk about his style of offense, he's going to be looking for a Saquon type player. There isn't a Saquon Barkley. I get that. But number three, he's in a division that's wide open. It's not like Kellen Moore is coming to a place in New Orleans that doesn't have a winning tradition, but he understands that Derek Carr is probably going to be his quarterback. He's going to try to retain him. Spencer Rattler is obviously being mentored right now by Derek Carr. You're going to have to do something about an aging defense. You're going to have to get guys like Alvin Kamara some help. And I know, you got some receivers, but I think Kellen Moore is coming to a good situation because if Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks have won the division the last 3 years in a row, that doesn't scare anybody. But Michael Penix is coming. Bryce Young is definitely coming. And I think, Baker Mayfield being the best quarterback in the division right now with two young stars in Atlanta and Carolina, and we'll see what happens with Tampa. So yeah, I think it's a home run. And they waited. They went through their whole hiring process. I think because they didn't get Aaron Glenn, they want to go with I think they wanted Aaron Glenn, but Aaron Glenn goes to the Jets. So yeah, you go with Kellen Moore. And shout out to Kellen Moore. For those of you who don't know who Kellen Moore is, who think he's only been a play caller, everybody want to talk about Ashton Jeanty, the star running back at Boise State. Go check Kellen Moore at Boise State. This is the same Boise State and Kellen Moore who played Georgia the opening game of the season during this time at Boise State. They played in the Georgia Dome. They had some old Power Ranger looking jerseys on with Georgia. They'll never wear those jerseys and helmets again because Kellen Moore ran them out of the Georgia Dome. But yeah, congratulations to Kellen Moore, man. He's did it the right way. And listen, if you're gonna get to the Super Bowl, might as well win that thing, right?
Yeah. And one of the only, yes, with Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, now head coach of Washington, but the rivalry not quite the same as Philadelphia and Dallas. Kellen Moore, coordinator for Dallas, coordinator for Philadelphia, played for Dallas as the quarterback. And now he's going to go potentially coach in New Orleans. So just been on both sides of that Cowboys Eagles rivalry as a player and a coach. All right, so I want to save the two big topics for last. So let's get into some of the kind of news and notes around the league, and we'll save the last two for last. We were going to do draft today. Our guest, we're going to have a guest today. But
we're going to have plenty of time for that, no doubt.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of time for the draft. Matt Wallman's going to come back on in a month or so. We'll have a little bit more breakdown for you guys in about a month when he comes back on. A little bit better analysis for us. Plenty of time for the draft. Let's get into the top headlines. We'll start with Cooper Kupp. Rams seeking to trade the highly motivated Cooper Kupp, who has proven that he is not finished in the NFL and still has something left. So we'll just go kind of one by one. Your thoughts on each headline. So first, Cooper Kupp.
Not surprised at all. Puka Nacua has been his replacement since he got there. Since he got there as a rookie a couple of years ago. And Coop knows this. Coop understands this. I make too much money, and I'm 30 years old plus. I've done all I can do. I won a Super Bowl. I did my best to, I was a triple crown guy, catches, yards, touchdowns, and I won a Super Bowl, and I'm a Super Bowl MVP. If you are a Cooper Kupp, as much as you want to stay around forever, you are a tradable piece. They're going to listen. If you are a veteran that they can get pieces for, and they're going to do right by him, he's going to go to a team that's going to find a way to utilize him. But Cooper Kupp, it is surprising when you think about what he's – because the one thing about Cooper Kupp is something we said about, the first time the Rams went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff, they did not have Cooper Kupp. They lost. I think it was like 13-3 or something. It was a defensive game. Second time they went, they had Cooper Kupp and they won. Even though I think Odell Beckham Jr. probably would have been MVP had he not got hurt. But shout out to Cooper Kupp, man. It's the business. It's not personal. It is the business. So Cooper Kupp will land on his feet, and there are a lot of teams in the NFL that can utilize his services. And Carolina, if y'all like a veteran receiver so much, y'all went in there and pay Adam Thielen, go holler at Cooper Kupp, man. I think he'll look good in that two-tone blue.
I would not hate it. Roger Goodell in his media press availability talked about the Chiefs in the refs and said that was an absolute ridiculous theory. And he mentioned some other questions about the technology of the footballs, an 18-game season potentially coming up, international games. You can read all that. But the main headline here is ideas that refs favor the Chiefs. Ridiculous theory.
Oh, and what else do we expect him to say? This is the same guy that during Bountygate, during Bountygate, he kind of like slapped, Sean Payton on the wrist. When you talk about Spygate, he burnt the tapes. Roger Goodell is who he is as far as like the commissioner because he's going to say the right things because the owner said, I wish you would. Now, can we see? We can see, right, Smitty? So why? I can get if it's one game. Maybe two. Every game, especially during the playoffs.
Yeah. Catch,
no catch, fumbles, you know what I'm saying? Questionable. He can say it's ridiculous all he wants. That's what he's supposed to say. But you know what? Right. It is ridiculous because it's true. It is very ridiculous, and it keeps on happening. But I tell you what, prove us wrong then, refs. We got the Super Duper coming up here soon. We'll see.
The Houston Texans hire Rams assistant Nick Caley as their new offensive coordinator, replacing Bobby Slowick, who was fired earlier this offseason.
You said the Rams?
The Texans hire Rams assistant Nick Caley as new offensive coordinator.
I'm happy for Nick, but I really don't understand it because when I thought about the Houston Texans last year, right? Yes, they had some offensive woes, but you're dealing with the injury bug. Starters going in and out of the Nick Collins going in and out of the lineup. Tank Dell obviously going out for a season-ending injury, which we wishing for a speedy recovery. I don't think you got to have a scapegoat just because the season ended the way you want. I don't think you got to do that because. And while I respect DeMeco Ryans, I don't think you got to try to shake up, your coaches just because sometimes we worry too much about what the fans and what public perception is. You lost. You had a shot to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. It didn't because here's the thought: you wasn't trying to fire him after y'all played the freaking Chargers. So I get it. That's why I sit behind these computer screens and these mics, talk my trash on these airways, but. I can respect it, Smitty, but it don't mean that it makes sense. You're getting rid of a guy because of what? Because you came up short. That's called football,
man. Stop. Let's combine two Washington, different Washingtons though. Two different transactions here. Pete Carroll's son, Brennan Carroll, from the University of Washington, is joining Pete's staff in Las Vegas as their offensive line coach. And then the Washington Commanders owner, Josh Harris, said the Commanders' name is here to stay, and the team and the community is finally embracing the name, and the culture is changing.
Well, surprise. Nepotism is going to run wild. When you talk about the National Football League, college football, high school football, Pop Warner football, Hey, Dad, you going to give me a job? Sure. What you want to coach? Offensive line done. And I'm not, listen, once again, I'm not mad at Pete Carroll. Shout out to him, being back in the National Football League, him and Chip Kelly, with them, when the Las Vegas.
Go ahead and say that one. I was going to do that one. Go ahead. Chip Kelly to the offensive coordinator for the Raiders.
I don't know how I feel. This thing, Chip Kelly as a play caller, I want to see if he still got it because outside of Philadelphia, when you had Deshaun Jackson and you had LaShawn McCoy, when you first got noticed out there at Oregon, when you had all that speed, ain't nobody really talking about Chip Kelly when he was at UCLA. Do you remember him? I don't remember him really doing that much. Now I know he can still call plays. I want to see has he grown because I listen to a lot about I've listened to LaShawn McCoy, and Deshaun Jackson talk about how he was as a head coach. I wonder if he's if he changed his ways a little bit. As far as like the owner saying that what the Commanders are here to stay. I mean, all right, but I will say this about the Redskins thing. If the Redskins, if there were Native Americans who felt a certain type way, you get away from it, and you stay away from it. It's not about how we feel; it's about how they feel. The Commanders just sounds weird. That's it. It just does. It's gonna take a little while for it to grow. I don't know how you feel about it, Smitty, but it's gonna take a little while because for me,
I personally like the Washington football team. I'll be quite honest.
I did too. I thought a lot of people didn't like it. I said, but it still sounds very with everybody else having. Because if I'm not mistaken, are the Commanders the only team in the NFL that have a band? Don't they got a band?
I'd have to look that one up. I'm not 100%.
But hey, listen. He said they're sticking with it, and when you got guys like Jaden Daniels, it makes it easy. But Dan Snyder, former Washington owner, coming out saying, "I hate that they're being successful." I appreciate.
That article was juicy. Yeah,
I appreciate your honesty, but no one cares. Move on. You still walked away with a lot of money, Dan. So you still won, even though you lost.
All right. Here are my headlines to overreact to, like my normal headlines, and then we'll get into the last two topics that I know people want to hear us talk about. One, especially because it just broke today, and the other one because I'm a Panthers fan. But we'll get there. We'll get to those last two in a second. All right, here are my overreactions. Some things I jotted down. Again, proper reaction or am I overreacting? Saquon Barkley will break the multiple Super Bowl records on Sunday against Chris Jones and this Chiefs defense.
I say overreaction. Here's why. The thing about the Kansas City Chiefs defense is they seem to play their best when everybody's watching. They seem to ride this occasion, whether it's Lamar Jackson, or Josh Allen, or Joe Burrow, or Justin Herbert, whomever it is. Do I think Saquon is going to do his thing? Yes. But breaking records? I don't know.
All right, that's fair. The Raiders. I wrote this down, and then I think I regret it now. But I'll say it anyway since I wrote it down. The Raiders are going to be back in the playoffs next season with Pete Carroll. All they need is a good quarterback to come in there and run Chip Kelly's offense. But as soon as I wrote that down, I thought to myself, wait, hold on, Ryan, hold on. You got Jesse Minter and the Chargers defense. You've got that vaulted Bronco defense that got better throughout the year. And then you've got the Chiefs led by Spags. Okay, this might be one of my worst takes.
I would say overreaction for this reason. I do think they will be rejuvenated. I do think they're going to play much better. I do think they're going to be much more competitive and consistent. But it's like you just said, they can do all the things right. Are they going to beat Kansas City? Probably not. Could they split with the other two, with Denver and maybe even the Chargers? Yeah, I can see that. But with all that being said, I don't see them making the playoffs because I think the AFC is just at a different level, as far as like competitive. Because think about this. I mean, making the playoffs, and we talking about a wild card, by the way. They're not going to win. Kansas City's winning that division, right? Then you start talking about Baltimore. Then you start talking about Pittsburgh. Then you start talking about Cincinnati, right? Now the AFC South, good God, somebody got to come out of that division, right? AFC, but they will be more watchable than they're going to play more like they did at the beginning of the season against the Ravens, right? And hopefully try to find some level of consistency because, hey man, Pete Carroll is a builder, man. He's a culture builder. He's a team builder. He's a player's coach, but he demands a lot. He puts a lot on his players. So I do think they will be a better team, but making the playoffs, that might be a bit of a stretch.
All right, two more. And the last one was going to lead into actually three more. I apologize. Three more. Last one will lead into the first of our big headlines. Russell Wilson will be a better free agent signing this offseason somewhere than Sam Darnold.
Woo! I think that's a proper reaction for this reason. Sam Darnold has shown me one good year, outlier. Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, and company. Hockenson and all those guys. Yes, I think Russell Wilson will be a better free agent signing because Russell Wilson, you kind of know what to expect from him. He's playing more like a seasoned vet that plays with like timing. He ain't trying to use every time he try to use athleticism, something happens. Sam Darnold, and I mean this respectfully. Sam Darnold, when he plays bad, looks like Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Okay, Ryan. Not Carolina Panthers. Sam Darnold.
No. I said when Sam Darnold plays bad, not how he plays.
Yeah,
not how he plays. Sorry, but Sam Darnold, he definitely made himself a lot of money. I don't know where he's going to end up, but somebody's going to definitely overspend and overreact, but they got to get him.
All right, last two. I don't know if I believe this one myself, but I'll say it anyway. The loser of the Super Bowl will miss the playoffs in 2025.
Ooh.
You just never know with injuries.
You know what?
You never know with injuries. You never know with
if it's Philadelphia, because I just think now for Kansas City, they playing for a reputation every single week, every single year. Because now the whole world is rooting against them. Oh, it's Kansas City. Somebody got to beat them. So it's almost like 31 other teams are coming together. In Philadelphia, yes. In Kansas City, no. Only because, like I said, Kansas City is playing smarter while everybody else is playing harder. Philadelphia, proper reaction. Kansas City, overreaction.
All right. Last two topics. Let's go ahead and get into them. We'll start with some guy named Myles Garrett. He requested a trade today from the Cleveland Browns. Now, trading Garrett's going to be a little bit more difficult than people think for a lot of reasons. He's got a 2-year deal left on his deal. Let me get my notes out to tell you the exact figures here.
I think he got more guaranteed money left.
He has 2 years remaining on the record-breaking 5-year, $125 million extension he signed in 2020, but no more guaranteed salary, like you said. Garrett has made it clear to the Browns that the Browns have told him they're willing to redo his deal and make him higher paid. He said it has nothing to do with this. He simply wants to win. And so here's my overreaction, and then you can kind of get into this. Wherever, assuming they do trade him, Myles Garrett will win a Super Bowl with his new team before the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, or the Steelers win a Super Bowl.
Woo! Bengals I can see, Browns I can see, Steelers I can see, Ravens I don't know.
It depends on the team he goes to. Yeah.
Now, it really depends on the teams. Myles Garrett is going to make whatever team we go to instantly better. Like the whole team.
Yeah.
However, he also might make the team he goes to a couple of years out
strained.
Yes, cap strained. And the thing about Myles Garrett is this. When the Cleveland Browns put it out there and said, we'll make you the highest paid, he said, it ain't about the money. Yes, it is. It's always about the money, even though I know he got his money. Myles Garrett doesn't want his entire career to be in vain because while he loves Cleveland, he's giving Cleveland all they can handle. He's giving Cleveland everything he's got. Man, you know what? You might be right. Because here's the thing. The Ravens are going to be good in the regular season, but they got to prove they can do it in the playoffs. The Steelers have grown sour either through the messaging, the culture, or just the team itself. Everybody keep thinking that Cincinnati is getting back to the playoffs. Getting back to the Super Bowl. What people forget about Cincinnati when they went to the Super Bowl, they had the worst offensive line in football. They definitely had the worst offensive line in the playoffs. And Cleveland is Cleveland. Cleveland is Cleveland. There ain't much to say about it. They are freaking Cleveland. But this Myles Garrett stuff is interesting because Smitty, he's given all he can give. He's been a team player. He hasn't been selfish. He hasn't been a look at me type person. He's more than lived up to the number one overall pick. He's already won Defensive Player of the Year. He's the first team All-Pro this year. I don't know if he's going to win back-to-back Defensive Players of the Year, but if he did, who's going to say anything? And he backed up 2023 by 20 because in 2023 everybody thought it was going to go to T.J. Watt because T.J. Watt had more sacks than him. But just because I have more sacks don't mean I had bigger impact, because I want to say that Josh Allen plays defensive end for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he had like
behind Allen, yeah.
So I would say, let's number one, Cleveland do right by this man. And hey, Myles Garrett, man, once again, I know a team that can utilize you. I know a lot of teams.
I'm about to say there are a lot of teams. Let's put on our GM hats, kind of like you mentioned. I don't have one, but I'll figuratively put one on. Okay. Go ahead and ask me the two questions you said before we started recording, how you wanted to structure this, and then I'll answer.
Okay. You are the GM. I want to know what you are willing to do to get Myles Garrett to be, obviously a Carolina Panther. And what was the second one I said? A seismic shift? What did I say?
Yeah, seismic shift. Yeah.
What? Okay, with the recent, and this is just because we love sports. I know this is a NFL podcast. Obviously, you got to live on the rock to not know that Luka Doncic is now a Laker, and Anthony Davis is now a Maverick. First part of the question, obviously, what would you give up to get Myles Garrett, and what trade or moment in the NFL this offseason will create a seismic shift for 2025 season?
So, I think a 2025 first-round pick is pretty much an obvious one. So, for the Panthers, that would be pick 8. I think a 2026 round second, and also a 2027 round second, maybe. So, 1 first, 2 seconds. I think might get it done. Maybe a first-round pick this year, and then maybe 3 thirds instead of second rounds. That's just my guess. I don't know, because you're not, 1 first-round pick is not going to get it done. But I'm not naive enough to say, 3 first-round picks at least. No. He's 28, or he's 29. No. Yeah. So I'm going to say at least 1 first-round pick. I think the Panthers would gladly part ways with that if that means Myles Garrett comes to Charlotte, number 8 overall pick. And then at least a second-round pick next year, and then maybe another one the following year. That part I haven't gotten much into the weeds. But I'd say a first-round pick and a couple of seconds should get it done. Maybe a player instead of the second-round pick, maybe. So maybe a first, a second, and a player, maybe. Something like that. And then I said this earlier to you, the equivalent. This is like Lamar Jackson getting traded for Joe Burrow. That's essentially what this is. Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis. That is the NFL equivalent of Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow getting traded for each other. One, Anthony Davis being Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson being Luka Doncic. Now, I think whoever Myles Garrett goes to, and I'll give you some teams to watch. Here's what I know. No inside sourcing, just things that I've seen. I would watch the Arizona Cardinals. I would watch despite them not being on the rookie contract with the quarterback. I would watch the Washington Commanders. I would very much watch the Washington Commanders. Wow. I'd watch the Philadelphia Eagles, because Howie Roseman, you just never know what he has up his sleeve. Don't think that's going to happen, but I would keep an eye on him. Obviously, any of the South teams, Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina, not New Orleans, I'm sorry, Atlanta, Carolina, Tampa Bay. But mainly, actually, no. All right, here we go. I'm going to give you 6 teams to watch. My top 6 teams to watch. Arizona, Washington, Philly, Carolina, Atlanta. I said 6. I'll say 7. The 7th being an AFC team, but I don't think they're going to make it to the AFC if you stayed in the AFC. And then the 6th one in the NFC would probably be Minnesota. Would be my 6th. And then the seventh, if he stayed in the NFC or the AFC, I would say Vegas. Could you imagine him and Max Crosby?
Oh my freaking God! Don't play with me. Wow.
Could you imagine Max Crosby and Myles Garrett next to each other? Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. So those are my teams to watch for him. I'll even give you a prediction. I think between those teams I mentioned, based on the cap space that it will require to sign him and the capital, I think, and knowing that they probably want to trade him to the NFC, I think it will be Washington or Arizona. That's just my bold prediction.
If we go to Arizona, Arizona is like the Cleveland of the NFC. But hey, anything can happen.
Those are the 2 that I think are most likely of the 7 that I mentioned.
And I like your seismic of trading Joe Burrow to the Ravens and Lamar Jackson to the Bengals. That would be crazy. Okay, my GM hat. I want Myles Garrett. If I am, I am being Fontenot. I am the, brother of Terry Fontenot. I'm just stepping in for him. Terry Fontenot.
Ryan Morgan over here for Dan.
Okay. Whew. Because of this Myles Garrett, I will give. It's hard to give up a first round pick, man. It's just hard to give it up.
I think that's baseline. I think.
Yeah. I would say a second and a third in this draft in 2025, and another second in 2026, and I might try to put a player in there too. I might try to send a player to Cleveland. Now, here's the thing. I was about to say, here's the thing. I know David Njoku, right, is in Cleveland. Good tight end. Aging tight end. Good tight end. Kyle Pitts might need a change of scenery, man, because he's coming up on his 5th year. They probably going, somebody gonna have to pay Kyle Pitts. I don't know if, because Drake London has shown, I would say maybe a second and a third this year and a second next year, and maybe a player like Kyle Pitts, like a player like dangle it out there to see, like because you got to get that defense right. And Kyle Pitts, unfortunately, outside of his rookie year, got hurt his second year. His last 2 years, I mean, they've been all right. But Kyle Pitts is not that type of talent to just be all right. So maybe a change of scenery. Seismic shift, though, in the National Football League. This will be a seismic shift. Are you ready?
Ready.
Breaking news. Jerry Jones hires a general freaking manager. He hires one and he gets out of the way. People go, what? Jerry Jones hires a general manager and he gets out of the way, right? And his general manager is Deion Sanders.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. The Jerry will roll over in his grave when he gives up.
Because here's the thing.
General manager.
Because this thing, right? Do I think that Brian Schottenheimer is really the guy who Dallas wanted? No, people are laughing at Dallas right now. I mean, either they laughing, crying, or they're really, really quiet, like crickets. Because once again, Smitty, the Kellen Moores of the world, Ben Johnsons of the world, you know what I'm saying? I mean, all these, Aaron Glenn's of the world, these are dynamite hires. Where did Brian Schottenheimer come from? As far as like the hiring carousel, so yeah, Deion Sanders is the general manager. And people go, why would Deion Sanders be the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys? Because he's going to put the team together and then he's going to coach the team. Because I think he'll be the coach in waiting. That's one side. I got one more. I got one more side. If the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Kansas City Chiefs, the Philadelphia Eagles trade Nick Sirianni to the Kansas City Chiefs to acquire Andy Reid.
That would be something. That would be something.
Because that would mean, you know what I'm saying? Because
Mahomes does not come with
him. No.
Jalen Hurts and Andy Reid don't swap teams either.
You know what? Yeah, I appreciate it, Ali. Hold on, let me go ahead and dunk that thing. Yes. Listen, here's why. People go, why? Because people go, hey man, Travis Kelce retires. Because what else can he do? He goes out to the sunset with Taylor Swift. And Pat Mahomes does. Listen, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid go to Philly. Nick Sirianni I got it. Nick Sirianni. People don't like this because you got it. Nick Sirianni, Jalen Carter, AJ Brown go to Kansas City. You keep Saquon, but you lose Jalen Carter, AJ Brown, and Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts, Jalen Carter, AJ Brown go to Kansas City. Nick Sirianni and listen. I'm sorry. You get 3 for 3. So you're going Jalen Carter, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, and Nick Sirianni go to Philly. Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, and Chris Jones, they go to Philly, and Travis Kelce retires.
There you go.
And people say, hey, and when they ask Patrick Mahomes, man, why are you going to the NFC? They say I'm in the GOAT conversation, so I've already conquered the AFC. I want to see what I can do in the NFC, just like Tom Brady did.
Yeah. One headline I forgot to mention that I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars for a second on this podcast. Tony Boselli, Hall of Famer, Executive Vice President of Football Operations under Shad Khan for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay. Oh, now finally Shad Khan is making common sense decisions. But Liam Cohen, listen, realize that you're the new head coach, right? Listen, but I like what you did. I like the fact that you used your leverage. You went in there to do the first interview, and you said, I want to work here. I don't want to work with him. Who? Trent.
that guy in the corner of the Zoom. The guy in the corner of the Zoom call right there.
Well, Shad Khan did the most. Captain Obvious finally stepped out. Captain Obvious was walking around the Jacksonville facility, and he goes, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm here to talk to Shad Khan. What? Get rid of Trent Baalke. What has Trent Baalke done? Brought back Tom Coughlin. He was responsible for hiring Urban Meyer, Chris Dodd. The band, freaking strength coach out of Iowa, Tim Tebow. You got rid of Jalen Ramsey. You got rid of Calais Campbell. You got rid of Yannick Ngakoue. You got rid of that whole defense. So got rid of Trent Baalke. But here's the thing: Liam Cohen goes back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers said we're going to make you the highest paid offensive coordinator in the league, but you can't have a second interview with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then Liam Cohen's son get sick, which I do believe he got sick, but he took him to a hospital in Jacksonville. He didn't take him to a hospital in Tampa because he couldn't find him. Next thing you know, breaking news, he's the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Regardless of how it happened, it did happen. And Shad Khan, spoiler alert, Shad Khan wished the Jacksonville Jaguars were the London Jaguars. He want to have the first. He does.
He does own Premier League soccer over there. Yeah, but Tony Boselli, good hire there for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, happy for Tony Boselli. Hopefully, I mean, he is the only Jacksonville Jaguar currently in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Hopefully, 2025 class, a one Fred Taylor will finally get inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, let's go ahead and I did not anticipate going to the Hall of Fame, but let's go ahead and do that really quick. But after we do this last segment. So Cam Newton, former Carolina Panther quarterback, said he wouldn't trade his MVP award for a Super Bowl championship. Now, before you get all high and mighty on me here, Mr. Falcon fan, Ben Troupe, here was his quote. What's more important, impact or championships? Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. And then he even says, respectfully, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Newton said others may not agree, but that he ultimately wants to be judged on what he accomplished and not what anyone else on his team did. I know that's not the popular pick. My take is I'm taking individual success because I did my job. Now, as a Panther fan, I think this is pretty simple. Okay. This is pretty simple for me. I think Cam Newton knows he's not going to be playing another down of football. His media career, 4th and 1 podcast, is doing pretty well on YouTube and other places.
And Funky Fridays, shout out to him.
And Funky Fridays, yeah, doing quite well. He knows he ain't going to take another snap of the football again. Okay, this is pretty simple for me. I'm actually very shocked at how calm I am about this. Yeah, the MVP award says Cam Newton, not the Carolina Panthers. It says Cam Newton won the NFL MVP award. Now, we are about to be coming up on a decade of Super Bowl 50. Next year, 2026, will be Super Bowl 60. So that will be 10 years since Super Bowl 50 has been played. So we're at 9 years right now. That was a young Von Miller wrecking Cam Newton and my Carolina Panthers.
Who was the second pick? Who was the second pick in the same draft as Cam Newton?
Yes. And stay with me here, Ben and audience. Stay with me here. Here's why Cam said that. Now, secretly, I think if you got really close and you asked Cam the night before the Super Bowl, before he faces the Broncos, Cam, would you trade your MVP that you just won for Super Bowl victory tomorrow? He would say, absolutely, I would. But it's been 9 years. And I think he's looking now at the longevity of his career and the MVP of what he was able to accomplish during that season. Yes, he didn't get the Super Bowl that he wanted so desperately, but he got the MVP. And what happens? Former players still bring this up to Cam Newton. People bring this up to Cam Newton all the time in interviews. He didn't recover the football. That has always been said about Cam Newton in Super Bowl 50. He didn't go after the football. And he has talked about that numerous of times. He's been asked about that so many times by so many people, including ex-players. So I think Cam Newton picked a bad day to have a pretty bad game with the Super Bowl 50, and the Carolina Panthers lost that game. But I think now, looking back 9 years later, he can comfortably say, yeah, I won an MVP, and I did that. And now, since I know I ain't going to win, I ain't playing another snap of football. Yeah, I'd take my MVP over Super Bowl Troupe. Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. Cam. All right, Cam. You know what, Cam? You know I love you. You know, here's the thing about the MVP. Right? Was Trent Dilfer ever going to win the MVP? No. Was Nick Foles ever going to win the MVP? No. Was Russell Wilson ever going to win the MVP? No. Was Eli Manning or Ben Roethlisberger ever going to win the MVP of the league? No. Was Joe Flacco going to win the MVP of the league? No. Sometimes I have to win the MVP when the position presents itself. Joe Flacco, Super Bowl MVP. Eli Manning had the same number of Super Bowl MVPs as his brother, right? Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP, right? Russell Wilson won Super Bowl, was Super Bowl MVP. Here's the thing. Matthew Stafford won the MVP, Super Bowl. Was he going to win a regular season MVP? No. Cam Newton's talent, like at his best, he's the MVP of the league. Let me tell you something, Cam. You telling me, here's the thought. Cam talked about what's more important, impact or Super Bowls. It is always impact. It is always impact. Did Michael Vick ever win the Super Bowl? Yeah. Was his impact felt in the NFL? Yeah. So I can make an impact and win the Super Bowl, right? When you throw out names like Nick Foles, when you throw out names, like Trent Dilfer and, all these respectful and all these different things, what you're saying is they didn't win a regular season MVP. That's going to be most players in the league. That's going to be most players, right? Here's the thing, though, Smitty. It still don't make no sense. Because you played in the Super Bowl. That was your MVP season. You just didn't finish the deal. Because here's the thing. This is what he's supposed to say. Which one you rather have? I'd rather have both. I'd rather have them both. I'd rather have regular season MVP and Super Bowl MVP, which is extremely hard to do. Extremely hard to do. But I think the thing about Cam Newton is this. Cam Newton understands how impactful he was. Cam Newton understands that you cannot talk about the quarterback position without talking about his impact influence on the position. The prototypical quarterback right now is a dual threat quarterback. That is the prototypical, right? All dual threats are not created the same, but that is the prototypical. You know, the reason why Cam Newton said what he said, because it bothers him that players who weren't up to his caliber of talent and ability won Super Bowls. And I get that. I get that every single day. But don't try to doodle on those men's accomplishments. Because Ben Roethlisberger got 2 Super Bowls. How many Super Bowl MVPs he got? No, he played in 3. How much? He got 0. That would be Hines Ward and Santonio Holmes, right? Does Tom Brady's played in 10 Super Bowls? He got 6 Super Bowl. He got 7 Super Bowl championships. Are all those MVPs? No, some of them was Adam Vinatieri, right? Deion Branch, right? Smitty. It bothers you, Smitty, that he didn't try to jump on that fumble because the whole world saw it. Mm-hmm. He ran up to it and backed up, right? The number 2 pick in that same drive was Cam Newton won the MVP, right? And Smitty, this is what I think you can't say, but you want to say. Cam, what the hell is you talking about? Like, really? Let me tell you something. When you're on TV, right, and you got to talk a lot, as you're going to say some boneheaded stuff. MVP. Are we going to remember every MVP that ever won in the NFL, that ever MVP of the NFL? No. Right? No. But Super Bowl MVPs, you can go back to that game and go, oh man, it was a so-and-so, it was so-and-so, right? You know who won MVP when Russell Wilson them beat up on Denver? That was Malcolm Brown. That's who won MVP. A linebacker, right? I think the thing about it is, though, Smitty, it bothers him, right? And it's supposed to, because he jumped on that fumble. But I'd rather have the regular season MVP. Regular season MVPs means I played the best in the world that year, right? I played the best in the world that year. Super Bowl MVPs, man, that's special because on the biggest game in football, I was the best player in that game. Cooper Kupp, Super Bowl MVP, which because this what the Super Bowl MVP does for your career, Smitty. It says this, dude. I made it to the big game, and I proved that I was the best player in the world against the best team that was vying to be the best team in the world. So Cam, look, I love you, man. Georgia boy, started off at Florida, ended up at Auburn. On the rest is history. But with all you've done, sometimes we need a mulligan because we think either we thinking too fast or speaking too fast, or probably a little bit of both. Because Smitty, when you heard it, Smitty, this is how I know it bothered you. Because you hit me up like, did you see what Cam said? What? You sent it to me. Let me show you that. Because it don't make no sense. I'd rather have regular season MVP. Okay. How many regular season MVPs would love to have been here go. How many regular season MVPs would love to have just won a Super Bowl? All of them. Forget winning the MVP. You want to just win a Super Bowl. All of them. Because Cam, would you rather have been the MVP of the Super Bowl or won it? Oh, I just want to win it. Of course you do. But because you didn't, and we know you had that outlier season. First team All-Pro, MVP of the league, 15-1. NFC Championship game was beautiful. Sorry, Arizona and Carson Palmer. It was bad. But I'm saying it's just one of them boneheaded things. He had a brain fart. And what he was thinking came through. What he was thinking in his head came out through his mouth, and the whole world knew. But hey, man, look, as a person that speaks for a living, I said a bunch of crazy stuff. But if you pose that question, Smitty, which I want the Super Bowl MVP, why? Because a regular season MVP is forever. It is. But when you get that ring, you on America's team, man. That means you won the hardest thing.
And just when we unfortunately with the Panthers in Super Bowl 50 against the Broncos, which they lost, we're not saying Super Bowl champion Cam Newton, or at least we are. Which again, we're saying NFL MVP, Heisman Trophy winner Cam Newton.
Do you think if Cam Newton wins the Super Bowl, he got to look for his pictures when he walk up at Bank of America? I bet you don't got to look for them. They everywhere. I'm just saying, if Super Bowl champion, it's like this though. I'm just saying. Do you think his son is saying, "Daddy, where your pictures at?" And the janitor saying, "Oh man, they on the second floor." Not if you win the Super Bowl. And listen, and there was no breakup, there was no nonsense. He's been in the Carolina, Ring of Honor. Come on, man, Cam, come on, man, stop it.
The other Jacksonville news that I didn't talk about, which I won't spare but a second on this podcast, saying they are currently looking at 5 different executives for their general manager opening since that Trent Baalke news obviously dropped with Liam Cohen now getting
Rand Carthon.
Nope. Chargers assistant general manager Chad Alexander, Bengals senior personnel executive Trey Brown, Giants assistant general manager Brandon Brown, Bears assistant general manager Ian Cunningham, and then Bucks assistant general manager Mike Greenberg.
I will go to Bears. I will go Cunningham for the Bears.
Okay. All right. Well, I know we're over. Let me do this last segment for the fans here. I know people are going to want to talk about this and just hear our not that we have any poll here on the Hall of Fame, but I'm going to go. We'll play our game to end this segment of and episode of Winning the Division, episode 25. Hall of Fame finalists. Somewhere between 4 and 8 people are going to be selected, something like that, for these 15 finalists. I'm going to read you a name, and you're going to be a prediction, yes or no. For next Thursday, NFL Honors, will we hear this name called when they announce the Hall of Famers there on NFL Honors Night next Thursday, February 6th. This coming Thursday, rather. Eli Manning, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, quarterback for the New York Football Giants. I am going to say no.
No.
Antonio Gates, tight end for the Chargers.
Yeah. He has the most touchdowns.
I would agree. He got snubbed last year.
Yes.
But I agree. Yes, this year. Yes. Reggie Wayne, Colts wide receiver.
Ooh. God, I'm gonna say no.
Same.
But he's right there. But I would say no.
Eric Allen, cornerback for the Eagles, Saints, and the Raiders.
I love Eric Allen game, but I'm gonna say no.
Same. Jared Allen, former Viking.
Yes. I don't get it. Yes.
Panthers.
Yes, Jared. Yes,
I would agree. Yes, Jared Allen has waited long enough. He forget his 1 year with the Panthers. He had legendary seasons with the Chiefs, with the Vikings,
and Minnesota,
and the Bears. Tackle for the Bengals and Ravens, Willie Anderson.
Wow,
man. I'm gonna say no.
And I'm gonna say no because if we got to think that long, I'm gonna say no.
Torrey Holt, receiver for the Rams and the Jaguars at the very end of this year.
I'm gonna say no. He's gonna get it, but I'm gonna say no for this year. But Torrey is nice.
I would agree. Torrey Holt should be in there already, but he's not.
He's not. Yeah.
Jari Evans, guard for the Saints and then the Packers.
I mean, I haven't seen enough of him. I remember him as a player, but I'm gonna say no.
I would agree. I'll say no as well. So far, I'm shocked. We're like 2 for 2 here. So far, we've got Jared Allen and Antonio Gates. Terrell Suggs, outside linebacker for the Ravens.
He's been a defensive MVP. They had 3 players on a defensive player of the year on the same defense. Him, Ray Lewis, and Avery. Yes. T. Sizzle is a Hall of Famer. Stop playing. Yes.
I would agree. We're at 3. Darren Woodson, safety for the Raiders and a bunch of other teams.
Darren Woodson got a bunch of tackles. I know he got an all-time leading. I know he got the most tackles in like Dallas Cowboy heads, but I'm gonna say no.
Agreed. Yep. Marshall Yanda, guard and tackle for the Ravens.
Oh my God. He's gonna eventually get in. Marshall Yanda was nasty good. He was. He's really, really good. When I think of the Ravens offense, I think of Marcus, Jonathan Ogden, that type. But he Yanda will get in, but I'm gonna say no for this year.
Yep, I agree. But I almost said yes. I almost said yes. He was so good. All right. We've got 3 so far with 1, 2, 3 names left. Adam Vinatieri, Patriots and Colts kicker.
Yeah. Like,
agreed. You can't leave off.
How is he not even in yet? Like, what are we doing?
This is his first year of eligibility, I think.
Okay.
All right, we're up 4. 2 names left. Fred Taylor, Jacksonville Jaguars running back.
Yes, Fred Taylor is listen, let me say this.
I think yes too, because Tony Baselli got it last year. So I
love Tony Baselli. Tony Baselli did not play that long for Jacksonville, but he had an incredible. Fred Taylor is I love Mark Brunell, love Tony Baselli, right? But I just think that when it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the first thing that pops out is freaking Fred Taylor. Fred Taylor should be yes. I'm going to say yes for Fred T. Yes.
All right, that's 5 and leaving. Are we going to go to 6? Luke Kuechly, linebacker, Carolina Panthers.
Listen. If we have to kick somebody out,
I'm going yes.
Yes, hell yes. Luke Kuechly is the for a under 10-year career. There's only 2 names that jump out at me at the linebacker position, and one of them is already in. Patrick Willis, Luke Kuechly, they were the goals. Luke Kuechly came out the womb to play linebacker. He is the greatest college football linebacker ever. And yeah, man, Luke Kuechly, he's in. Yeah, he's studying tape right now. He's not even gonna play this weekend. Yeah,
that's 6 ones that we are predicting. So, and just to recap, we have Antonio Gates, we have Jared Allen, we have got Luke Kuechly, we have got Terrell Suggs, we have got Fred Taylor and Adam Vinatieri.
If you have to kick one person off the list, it'll probably be Jared Allen. They'll probably kick him. He's gonna get in, but if you had to kick one, it would probably be Jared. Because
I would agree.
But he did it for multiple teams. Not like you're talking about Minnesota, Kansas City, Chicago had the 1 year with Carolina. But I mean, great list though. Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, please forgive me. Yonder, please forgive me because they had some dogs on that list.
And I, if I'm being honest, Jared Allen is the one name that I think if we get all of these right, except for one, I would agree Jared Allen would be the one that we get wrong and he doesn't get in. But if they do give it to 6 and Jared Allen's not the 6th, I can see them giving it to Eli Manning.
I can see that. I mean, Eli Manning. I don't think Eli Manning regular season was so regular, but his postseason was so epic. And he only had 2 really, really good postseasons when you talk about what he did. But I mean, when you win 2 Super Bowls and 2 Super Bowl MVPs against the Colts, they got to mean something.
Yeah. Well, this wraps up episode number 25 here of Winning the Division. You can find us on YouTube version on Tobacco Road Sports Radio YouTube page. Find us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast for the audio version at the Keep Counting Podcast Network and Fans First Sports Network. Remember, you are either in the division or you are winning your division. This is Winning the Division, episode 25. We'll be back next week to recap the Super Bowl 59 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. We will also, this time next week, we will have a guest this time next week. Bill Sparks, NFL writer and analyst for DraftProfessor.com. Is also a Browns fan as well, so we'll talk to him about the Browns, and he's worked closely with the Browns over the years. Also writes for the Right Way Sports Network as well. Follow him at those socials on Twitter and wherever else you have socials. But Bill Sparks will be our guest next week. For Ben Troupe, I'm Ryan Smith. This is Winning the Division. We will see you next week. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody, and remember, like, rate, subscribe, and comment. Love to see your feedback and what else you guys want us to talk about. But until next time after the Super Bowl, this is Winning the Division, episode 25, signing off.